Hi, my name is Obina. I'm a software engineer. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this tutorial, we're going to create and run an ATM console application in Visual Studio using C Sharp and explore some creative and technical skills needed to build C Sharp applications. In this application, you will be able to log in using your ATM card number and PIN. Check your account balance, deposit money, transfer money, check statements of accounts, and log out. This tutorial is part one of a two-part tutorial series. My goal in this series is to get you up and running with software development using C Sharp by creating a reward product. At the end of this tutorial, you'll be able to create custom methods, write conditional codes, add comments to codes, understand how IntelliSense works, build and test your code. In this part, we are going to get started by previewing the completed app that we're going to build, creating the Visual Studio project, creating the ATM app, setting the title and foreground color of the console window, welcome the user, request for ATM card number and PIN, validate the user input and log in the user. To participate in this tutorial, you must have Visual Studio installed. If you haven't already installed Visual Studio, go to the Visual Studio download page to install it for free. Now, whether you're learning this to prepare for school projects, work, or just for fun, I'm sure this will help you solidify the various concepts of object-oriented programming in C Sharp and will show you efficient ways to help speed up your workflow. If you need help, there will be linked to my Discord in the description below. If you need the full source code, it is also available in my GitHub account. The link is in the description. If you are getting value, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't done already.
Alright guys, this is the ATM application that we're going to be building in Visual Studio using C Sharp. When you run this app, you're going to see this console window with a title, My ATM App. You're going to learn how to set title of the console window and welcome message, welcome to my ATM app, and then it prompts for the user to insert their ATM card. But also note, you've got to know that actual ATM system will accept and validate physical ATM card, but in this application we are not going to do that. We're going to prompt the user for their card number and PIN. That is what we're going to use to validate the user against our database. Now press enter to continue. Enter your card number. My card number is 321321. This is a valid card number. Hit enter and enter your card PIN. My card PIN is 123123. Now as you can see, as I'm typing this PIN, it's hidden. I can't see the actual numbers I'm typing, but it's replacing the numbers with an asterisk, so you can call it stars. We're going to learn how to hide user input in the console, in the console application. Now if I hit enter, this is going to log me in because it's the correct PIN. Now how about a user enters the wrong PIN? Let's assume a user enters 123123 456. Hit enter. You see, please enter 6 digits. This is a validation, input validation, that does not allow the user to enter anything more than 6 digits. So the user has to enter 6 digits before it gets to process the input. Let's hit enter to continue, and it's request for the PIN again one more time. Now let us enter the correct PIN, which is 123123. Hit enter to continue. Checking card number and PIN. If you notice, there was an animation, a dotted animation, a progress animation. So here we are. Welcome back. Obina Easy. Press enter to continue. I've been logged in, so let's press enter to continue. And here we are. This is the My ATM app menu, and here you can enter an option for the activity you want to carry out on your ATM. Number one option is account balance, 2 is cash deposit, 3 is withdrawal, 4 is transfer, 5 is transaction, 6 is log out. Let's start with 1. Let's hit 1 and check our account balance, and your account balance is 50,000 naira. Press enter to continue. Now let us take them in that order. Let's hit 2 to deposit some money. Only multiples of 500 and 1,000 naira is allowed. Okay, now hit enter to continue. Enter amounts. We're going to first of all try to enter an amount that is not in the multiples of 500 or 1,000. Okay, let's say we're going to enter 450 naira. Okay, hit enter, check and counting banknotes. Enter deposit amount only in multiple of 500 or 1,000. Try again. You see, all right, this is a business logic in place that checks the user enters the amount in the correct multiples. All right, let's press enter to continue. We're going to try that again and then hit enter to continue. Let's enter 500. Let's enter 1,500. 1,500. I think this will go. Check accounts and banknotes. All right, here we go. 1,000 summary. There's a summary. 1,000 times 1 is 1,000. Of course, 500 times 1, which is 500. So this is how our money was inserted when we were trying to deposit. Total amount is 1,500. Now enter 1 to confirm. Let's hit enter 1 to confirm. Your deposit of 1,500 was successful. Press enter to continue. Alright, so we've been able to try the balance and cash deposit. Now let's go ahead and try the withdrawal. Let's hit 3 and enter. Alright, you see we have various amounts that we can choose from, or we can hit the other and enter an amount that is not on the screen, another amount that is not on the screen to withdraw. Now let us try to withdraw. How much are we gonna withdraw? We have 50,000 naira in our account, so let's withdraw 15,000 naira. Let's say 6. I'm going to withdraw 15,000 naira because that's what I'm gonna use for today. Hit enter. Please collect your money. You have successfully withdrawn 15,000 naira. Press enter to continue. All right, let's check our account balance. You see, that is 6,500. See, I've withdrawn 15,000 from this. Now we're going to withdraw 6,500 from this. Let's try the other format. Let's hit 3 and say order. Hit send 0 and press order. Enter an amount. Let's say 6,500. Okay, please collect your money. You have successfully withdrawn 6,500. Oh wow, this is beautiful. Let's check our balance first again. Now we have 30,000 naira. Okay, right now we're trying to withdraw more than what we have in our account, which is 30,000 naira. We're going to withdraw 40,000 naira. Let's press 8. Withdrawal failed. Your balance is too low to withdraw 40,000 naira. Okay, that's a good validation right there. Let's try to withdraw exactly what we have in our account, which is 30,000. 30,000 naira. Withdrawal failed. Your account needs to have minimum 500 naira. You see, that's a minimum amount of money that you can have in your account, and that's it. Let's try the next, which is number 4, transfer. Let's try to transfer money to another person. Enter recipient's account number. All right, okay, let's use 4 5 6 7 8 9. Enter amount. Let's say we're going to transfer 15,000 to this user. Enter recipient's account name. and the name is Amaka Hope. All right, you have successfully transferred 15,000 naira to Amaka Hope. Press enter to continue. We're going to check our balance again. We'll have 15,000 naira in our account balance. So let's check the transactions we've made so far. And here they are. These are the transactions we've made so far. It has the dates and it has the number, the serial number, the dates, the type of transaction, the detailed descriptions, and the amount, which is minus 15,000. This is the last transaction we did. So press enter to continue, and we are going to log out with 6. Thank you for using my ATM app. You've successfully logged out. Please collect your ATM card. Press enter to continue. Alright guys, for the last time we are going to try to log in more than one, for 3 times with the wrong pin. And so what we're gonna get. So hit enter to continue. Alright, enter card number. We will use 321321. Enter your card pin. It's supposed to be 123123, so but we're gonna use wrong pin, 124124. All right, it's gonna show us invalid card number or pin. Let's do it again for 2 more time and see what we're gonna get. Okay, 321321, 124124, the wrong pin and invalid card number or pin. Enter to continue. Now we're going to try it last time. 321321. Enter. 124124. Enter. Invalid card number or pin. This is the third time we tried it. Hit enter to continue. You see your account is locked. Please go to the nearest branch to unlock your account. Thank you. Press enter to continue. It exits. Alright, so to get started, let's create a new C# project. Open Visual Studio and select create a new project. Under the create a new project, all language select C#, and under the all platforms select console. Now we'll have the console application for the .NET Core, and that's what we'll be using for this tutorial. And we also have the .NET Framework console. All right, now select next to continue. Now under the configure your new project window, we're going to name our project ATM app, and here is the location where our project files are saved, and here is the solution name is the same with our project name. Now select next. So now in the additional information window, we're going to be using .NET Core 5.0, which is the latest version at the moment of this creation of this video. Select create, and here we are. This is the default Hello World program that comes on the fly with the console
Application template. We can delete this class and create a new class or rename it to continue working with it. So we will go with the ladder and go to the Solution Explorer window. Now if you don't see this Solution Explorer window on your Visual Studio, go to View. Under the view you would see it, or you can use Control Alternate L to bring it out. Now let's go ahead and rename this class from program.cs to atmapp.cs. Go ahead and change it to ATM app and hit enter. Okay, click yes. All right, our class has been renamed successfully to ATM app. Now to build and run this app, let's select the green arrow next to the name ATM app in the top toolbar, or you can use F5. When we run this app, you notice the console window shows up very quickly and disappears. This is because the app has finished running. So what do we do to keep the console window on? Now we're going to write a few lines of codes to help us keep the console window running until we press enter key. So before we continue, we're going to write code that will prompt the user to enter, press enter. Also the right line. Press enter to continue. Dot dot dot. Semicolon. Now on the next line, write console dot read line. Now this will keep the console window on until the user presses enter. So let's add line breaks before the press enter to continue. Let's add like 2 line breaks. This is done with the backslash, and it stands for line break. And there you have it. Let's hit F5 or press the rectangle to run our program. Good. As you can see, the console window is now steady. But one more thing, the title of this console window is not descriptive enough. So we are going to change that. Let's fix that. To do that, we are going to start off by clearing the console window. Say console.clear. So under the console.clear, okay, now let's add some comments to this. We use comment to make our code readable by other developers so that they can know what we're doing. Now we're going to write console.text, console.title equal to my ATM app, semicolon. Now this double quotation stands for a string. So let's add some comments. Sets the title of the console window. Now the next thing we are going to do is change the foreground color. We'll do that with console.foreground color equal to console color dot choose the color of your choice, but I'm going to choose white. The default text color of the console window is gray, so we're going to choose white for our program. Now let's add some comments. Set the text color or foreground color, the foreground color to white. Let's add some space. And here is what we have so far. Now we are going to refactor this hello world code to a welcome message. Let's add some comments. First of all, set the welcome message let's change this to welcome to my ATM app. Excuse me. So let's add some line breaks before and after. To make it look, to make to make our text look good on the console screen. Let's add some dash to the left and to the right also to centralize our welcome message. Good. Here we have our code. Let's run the app to see the results. Very good. As you can see, our code is running very well, and the title is set to my ATM app. Close the console window so we can proceed to all things. Now the next thing we are going to do is to write a code that prompts the user to insert their ATM card. Basically, we're going to write console.writeLine please insert your ATM card. Now we're going to write a note to the console screen telling the user of this app that we don't accept an actual or a physical ATM card. But okay, note, actual ATM machine will accept and validate a physical ATM card. Read the card number and validate it. Stop and semicolon. And there you have it. So this is what our code looks like so far. Let's run the app to test it out. Very good. Very good. Everything is looking so good and nice so far. So we can press enter to continue, or while Everything is looking very good. You're fine. So far, our code runs smoothly. Now the next thing we've got to do is write the code that will prompt the user to enter their ATM card number and PIN, then checks these inputs against registered bank users in our simple list-based database. But before we proceed, I'd like for us to refactor and organize our code into various logical homogeneous classes layers so as to make our code easy to understand, easy to read, and easy to reuse. Let's go ahead and create a new folder. Go to Solution Explorer, click Add, New Folder. Now we're going to call this folder App. Now move the ATM app class into this new folder. Now this layer is responsible for hosting the ATM app class that will use all code components and implement business logic. Okay, so let's create another folder and we're going to call this folder UI. We're going to call this folder UI because this folder will contain classes that help printing formatted text on the console screen and obtaining user input. So basically right now we are going to create a new class inside the UI folder. Create a new class. Now we're going to call this class the app screen. We're going to call this class app screen. Good. Before we continue, let's add public static to this class. We made it static so we wouldn't need to instantiate the class before we can use its methods, or we don't need the instance of the class before we can use the method. That was why we use static to describe the class. Now we are going to create a new method. So internal static void welcome method. Now this method is static because you already know we wouldn't instantiate its class to call it. Now we're going to carry over the code in the ATM app class. The welcome, in fact, all the codes here, we're going to move them to that new method. Welcome method we will encapsulate this code, and there we have it. Everything moved to this new method in the app screen class. So basically the next thing we are going to do is call this method here in the ATM app. So to call this method we use app screen dot welcome semicolon, and that's it. So whenever you see this red underline, notice on your screen on the line of code, it means there's a compiled error. So what you do is click this yellow light bulb it's going to bring suggestions, or you can use control dot. Now we're going to select the first one, which helps us to import the using app ATM app.ui namespace. So now we have our code compiled. So we are going to run this app to try it out and see how it goes. Now everything is working very well and our factoring was successful. So now what next are we gonna do? What I'm gonna do next? Alright, so we still have some little more refactor to do here, especially on this line of code, this expression right here. We are going to move this, or call it extra this method, this to a method, so that we can easily call the method anytime we need it. So how do we do that? We are going to right click and select extract to method. When you do that, you're going to get this new method. Now rename it to press enter to continue. And when that's done, you hit apply. So we now have a new method under our class. So but we don't want to leave this method here. We want to move it to another class, to help loosen the coupling, so that we don't have a tight coupling right here. So let's go under the UI and create a new class. We're going to call this class the utility class. Utility, then add. Now we'll quickly change this class to make it public and static as well. So inside this class, let's create the public static method. Press enter to continue. So okay, copy the method is already created. So let's copy this method and move it to our utility class. And when we do so, we need to change this to private, and that's why this is showing us a compile error even when we enter the utility press and the utility. It is still showing us a compile error because the method is private. So we're going to change the modifier to public. This is the access modifier. So you see how that works. It's now very okay. It's compiling right now. So let's try the code and test it out and see what we have so far. So far everything is working very well. Alright, so brace up guys. This is the workflow that we'll be using throughout the course of this tutorial. This will help us write clean code. So now let's write a new method under the utility class, public static string get user input. Just as the name describes, we are going to use this method to get the raw user input from the console window. Now this method is going to take string prompts as a parameter. So now inside we're going to console the right line and say enter curly brackets prompt. Now add the $sign here to make it use that variable in the parameter, semicolon. Now under this we're going to return console.readline. This console.readline method helps us, function or method, whichever we want to call it, helps us get the user inputs, a line of user inputs as a string. Now in the ATM app class, let's call this method utility.getUserInput method, so we can get user inputs and test how it works. Now we're going to use this your name as the prompt, and let's assign this to a string variable called name, and then we are going to print this back to the screen. Print this to the screen as the output. We'll say your name is curly brackets open name, then add the $sign. Please make sure to add the $sign, because if we don't, it will treat that as a string, not a variable. Now we're going to call up utility.press enter to continue method, so we can keep our screen on until we press enter. Our code is looking good and pretty. Let's test it and see how it goes. Run the program. Press enter to continue. Enter your name. Now I'm going to enter Obina. Your name is Obina. Our code is running very well. So the next thing we're going to do is refactor this code, so we can ask the user for their card number. So copy that and put it here and change it to your card number is, then card number, your card number. Let's run this program and see what we've got. Press enter. Enter your card number. Let's enter 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4. Your card number is, it gave us the card number back. Alright, so it's working very well. But then what if the user enters an alphanumeric number in place for card number? How do we tackle the irregularity? This brings us to the next thing we're going to do, which is validation. We're going to create a class that helps us to validate the user input, so that if we want the user to enter a number, they would have to enter the number. If we want them to enter a string type, whether it's a long type, an int type, whatever type we want the user to enter, they would have to enter that type. So basically we're going to need to create a class to help us do that. So under the UI, layer, we're going to create the validator class. We'll call this class validator. So create a new class under the UI and call it validator. Okay, here we go. Okay, make this class public and static too. Other classes we'll be using will be mostly static classes under this UI, because we don't want to be instantiating the classes before we can use them. Now we're going to create a method called convert. Now this method will come in the form of a generic method public static t is a generic type, that's our return type. Convert, and t is the type input, so we're going to enter the type input in that place so the user knows what we are what we're requesting. The prompt, the question we ask the user for. Now, what are generics? Generics allow you to take type as parameter, which make it possible to design classes and methods that defer or withhold the specification of one or more types until the class or method is declared and instantiated by the client's code. So what does this mean? The client code can call the convert method and enter the particular type they intend the user to input. You can look up generics in C# documentation for more details. Now let's create two variables, bool valid and equals to false, and another variable, we'll call this the string variable user input. This is going to hold the raw user input. Now let's create a while loop to keep asking for the specified type until a valid input is entered by the user. While valid but we're going to turn it to negate. We're going to negate this so that it reads while true. It reads while true. So our code will continue to run until there is a valid input. So basically, inside the loop, set the user input to our utility.get user input method. So this is we're going to get the user raw or non-validated input. Now inside here we're going to add the prompt. So this is the same prompt from the parameter, add semicolon. Okay, now we are going to use the try catch statement to handle exceptions that come up as we trying to convert the user input into the specified type. Now inside the try block, let's get the converter for the specified type. Let's get the converter. This is going to go like this: type descriptor dot get converter. Now inside this, we're going to enter the type of type. We're going to enter the type of type that we want. So let's import this. Use Control dot to import the namespace for this type descriptor, and when we do that, the compile error will disappear. Then we're going to save this in a converter variable. This var is an anonymous type, so we can save any type on it. So now we've gotten the converter for this type. Now we're going to run an if statement to check if this converter is not equal to null. If it's not equal to null, then we are going to convert and return the type. So we're going to return converter dot convert from string user input. So now this user input is the raw input the user entered. It comes as a string, so we're converting from string to the specified type. Now what we have here is a compile error. So why is that? Okay, we're going to cast our specified type to this, and a compile error disappears. Okay, now on the else part of the if statement, we're going to return defaults. What this means is if the converter object is a null, that means no converter. There's no converter for the specified type. So the specified type, the user did not put the right input for the specified type. So what we are going to do is return default. Now this return default is going to return the default of the particular type the user specified. For instance, if the user specified an int for the type, is going to return 0 for an int. If the user specified an object, it's going to return null as the default type, so as the case may be. So outside the try, we're going to write a catch statement for this. So here in the catch statement, we're going to write an error message, which is we're going to write console.writeLine invalid input. input. Try again. Now outside the loop, we're going to return the defaults. This means that the user is not able to put a valid input. So we're done with this method. Let's try it out and see how it works. We're going to replace this method with our new method, convert method from the validator class. So let's copy our prompt. Delete this method and add the new method that's coming from the validator class. Validator.convert. Now inside the angular bracket, let's enter the type. We want to take the card number as the long type. Now paste our prompt, add semicolon, and you see the error, it's already compiling. So we change the variable to long type 2, and there we have it. Nothing more else to do. Let's run this program to test run what we have. Press enter to continue. Enter your card number. Okay, let's enter 123 FDJY. Input, invalid input. Try again. Enter your card number. So you see our validator is really working. It will keep repeating this until we enter the correct type, which is long. And there we have it. Your card number is this. So press enter to continue. We've been able to validate our class, and it's working very well. So now the next thing we're going to do is do some formatting here. We want to be able to print a different error messages with a different text color, and print success messages with a different text color. So now let's create a new method to handle that. Inside the utility class, let's create a method. We'll call this method print message. So let's go ahead and create the print message method. Public static void print message. String message. this is going to have some parameters, the message and two parameters, and then it will have the bool success. Now this is going to take a true or false. If it's true, we'll print success. If it's false, we'll print fail. So basically, let's write an if statement. So we're going to write if success console. Okay, we'll first of all change the foreground color. So okay, let's check this to be true. So by default, success is true. Console dot foreground color is equal to console color dot yellow. Want to be able to print success messages as in yellow. Else, if it's false, we're going to print console dot foreground color is going to be red. So now the next thing we're going to do is print our message. Console the right line and message. So we have to reset our color. And then press enter to continue. We'll call this function, and that's it. That's all for our print message function. So right now we're going to go ahead and implement this function, or call this function or method in our catch block. So let's switch this up. Let's copy our input, our error message, and then create call the utility.print message function or method. True. It's going to be false, sorry. So if it's true by default, so we're going to enter false, and now we're going to test our program again to see if the changes we've made have reflected. Enter your card number. Let's enter some non-long type, and there we have it. It's working. Our code is working very well, so this is good. This is great. And if you notice, our console color has been our console foreground color has been reset to default color, which is gray. Now we're going to go back to no, you see it's showing gray. We're going to go back to our print message our print message method to change the console color to white. We don't want gray, we want it to be white, so we're going to change this to foreground color equal to console color the white. Let's run the app again to test it. Enter your card number. Let's enter some invalid input. And as you can see, our color foreground color is reset to white too. So there we have it. Everything is working so perfectly, and so far so good. We've been able to get valid user input with a specified type, so we can now get users card number in long type. We're now going to create a user accounts class that will create the bank user object, which we will then use to check the user input against in order to log in the user. Before then, let's create a domain layer. Right click the ATM app node and select add and create a new folder and call this domain. Now inside the domain layer, let's create a new folder and call it entities. Now inside the entities folder, we're going to create a new class. We're going to call it user accounts. Let's add the class. Let's, before we continue, change add the public to the class name. Now this class is going to have a number of properties, and which includes the user's data. So type prop, double tap the tab key to get this piece of code, then enter long, and the property here is going to be the card number. Now let's add another property, which is going to be an int, and it's going to be the card pin. Let's add another property. This property is going to be the user account number. Is in long. Now let's add another property. This property will be a string type, and it will hold the user's name, full name. Now let's add another property. This property will be able to type decimal, and it would hold the user's account balance. Now we're going to add another property. This property will be an int property. which we hold the total in. And finally, we're going to add the last property, which is a boolean, which we hold whether the user is logged in, logged out, or not. So this is locked. And there we have it. Our class user accounts class is completed. Now let's create a demo list of user accounts in the ATM app class, because we're going to use list for our user account database. So go to ATM app class and let's create a new method. Before we do that, we are going to create a new field. It's going to be a private list of user account. The type is user account list. User account list column. Now let's import the user account and import the list namespace. This is going to be coming from the collections.generic namespace. That's where the list is. So we are going to create a private user account selected user field. It's going to be selected account field. This is going to hold the selected account for the logged in user. Now we're going to create a new method and call this method initialize data. Inside this method, we're going to initialize the list, the user account list, new list user account. Now inside this, we're going to add 3 user accounts inside. Now we are going to add new user account. Now let's fill in the details of those properties inside the user account class. Okay, before we continue, we need to update the user account class with the ID property. We forgot this. It's going to be an integer and the property name will be ID. And that's all we have to do here. Save and go back to the ATM app class. And first of all, let's enter the ID to be equal to 1. And we'll enter the full name. The full name would be Obina Eze. That's my name. So let's enter the account number, which is going to be 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now let's enter the card number. Card number would be equal to 321 321. Let's enter the card pin. It's going to be equal to 123,123. Let's enter the account balance. Let's enter the account balance. Account balance will be 5,000. Now that M will stand for the currency. Let's enter the value for it's locked. And it's going to be false. Add comma there. Now let's duplicate this. Let's highlight this whole line, duplicate them into 3 places. Now we're going to change the IDs to 123 and change their various details. Now the second full name is going to be Amaka Hope. Amaka Hope. Account number would be 456,789. 456,789. Account number would be 654,654. And the card pin would be 456,456. Account balance would be, how much are we going to put there? Okay, let's leave it at 4,000, or maybe 4,000 is good, and leave the is locked as false. Now this last part, we're going to change the name to Femi Sunday. Then the account number would be 123,555. And the card number would be 987,987. And then the card pin would be 789,789. And then the account balance would be, how much are we gonna put there? Okay, let's make the account balance 2,000 naira, and for the is locked, let's change it to true. Here we go. Our list-based bank database is it's ready. So what we're going to do next, we're going to do a couple of refactoring. Let's move this main method into a new class. That class, we're going to call the class an entry class. Inside the app folder, let's create a new class and call it entry. Now let's move the main method from the ATM app class to the entry class. Now this class is going to serve as the entry point to our application. Let's import the ATM app.ui namespace. Okay, let's close down some of these tabs so we can navigate well through our code. Okay. Okay, right now we are going to make this class public so it's accessible from the entry class. Let's save and run our application to test it. Press enter to continue. Enter your card number 1425. Okay, your card number is 14. Everything's running smoothly. Now we are going to create another folder, name it interfaces. Inside the domain layer, create a new folder, call it interfaces. We'll put all the interfaces we're creating and be using inside this folder. Now inside this folder, let's create an interface called iUser login. Let's select interface and name it iUser login. Go ahead and make it a public interface. Now inside here we're going to add a contract or a method. This method is going to be void check user card number and password. An interface defines a contract. Any class or struct that implements that contract must provide an implementation of the members in the interface. Now let's go ahead and implement that interface inside the ATM class. Right now the compiler is asking us to import the interface folder, so let's go ahead and do that. Now we are going to, it has imported the folder. Now we are going to implement the method. We've done that, so it's showing through new not implemented. Let's remove that. So inside this method we are going to write a code that will check the user card number and password against our list-based database. So now we're going to create let's start by creating a new field. We're going to call this bool is incorrect login, which is going to be equal to false. And now let's create a while loop to keep asking for user input until it gets the correct login and says the selected account to the corresponding account from the user account list and log the account if the user failed to log in more than 3 times. A lot said, let's get coding. Let's create a temporary user account object and call it temp user account. Let's now set the card number from the user input validator. Temp user account dot account card number, sorry. Okay, card number, which is equal to, let's get that from the validator dot convert. Its card number is in long, so enter the type and then prompt. The prompt is going to be your card number. Semicolon. And that's that for it. This will give us the valid inputs for card number, and we'll store it in this temporary user account object. If we decide to change this type to int, it will work. It will be nice. If we change it to string, you will notice that you cannot convert string to, you cannot, convert string to long, so we change it to long. And it's working perfectly. So now we're going to assign a temporary user account dot card pin So what I'm gonna do now, this is where it gets interesting, because this is the pin. We want to be able to hide the user input and replace it with asterisks on the screen as the user types in their pins. Now we're going to create a method in the utility class that will enable us to collect a hidden input, which we would use for user pin. Okay, so now let's go to utility class and create a new method. Now we're going to call this class public static string get secret input. It's going to take prompts. Now inside this class, we're going to I'm going to write a code that will help us, get user inputs in a hidden format. Just create a variable called isPrompt and assign true to it. Let's also create another field or another variable, string variable. We're going to call this asterisk and assign it an empty string. This will enable us add asterisks as the user types in their pin. Now let's create a string builder object that will help us to store the key input from the console. String builder, I'm going to call this input. Let's instantiate that. Next, we are going to create a while loop. This while will keep prompting the user for the secret input until its prompt value equals false. Then it stops asking. So we're going to go with while true. Now inside the while loop, well, first of all, going to check if its prompt is true, then prompt the user. Let's do that. If its prompt then prompt the user. Console right line prompt. This is going to ask the user to enter their PIN. Now to collect the user input, we're going to use console.read key. And inside this parameter, we're going to put true. What this means is we're going to put true as the read key parameter. Console.read key and reads the keystrokes, and if it takes true as a parameter, it means that the input should be hidden. The default case is false. Then let's go ahead and save this in our input key variable of the type console key info. Let's check if input key or the key is equal to enter. So let's do if input key dot key equals enter equals console key dot enter. This right here checks when or listens So when the user is going to press enter. So inside here, we're going to check if the total input, the input is equal to 6, because we want the user to be able to enter 6. Digits. Okay, want the user to be able to enter 6 digits as the pin. So we're going to break out of the while loop here if this condition is met. So if this condition is met, we're going to break out of the while loop. Now else, we're going to prompt the user to enter 6 digits. Please enter 6 digits. Now this print message is going to print as an error message, so it's going to be in red. So let's call this false. Let's add some line breaks. Semicolon. Also, let's reset its prompt to true, and then clear the input so that user will start afresh again. Outside the if statement block, let's check if the backspace was pressed. If input key dot key is equal to console key dot backspace, and also let's check if the input length is greater than 0. Let's check if anything has been entered, the user has entered anything before the backspace. If so, now let's remove the last item the user entered. We're going to do this by calling the remove method of the string. So we're going to say input.remove. We're going to use the length as the position, length -1 as the index, and then we're going to remove just one item. So that's just that. Else I'm going to say else if input key dot key is not equal to console.backspace. Let's say the user did not press a backspace. We are going to append that keystroke to our input string. Input.append input key dot key. Character. It's going to come in character key chart. So this is going to append a string character, a character value or character type, to the string variable. And so we're going to write or print the asterisk on the screen. So we're going to use console.write, so we can write on one line asterisk plus and there we have it. Now outside the while loop, let's return our input. And let's return our input to string. Return input dot to string. So that's a collection of that input is a collection of character types. Now we want to convert them to string as we return them. A method has been created. Now let's go to the app, go back to the ATM app and close, and let's call that method utility.get secret input. Let's enter the prompt. Enter your code PIN. Now we're seeing an error here because this code PIN is an integer and this guy returns it returns string. So let's convert to int 32. Let's convert it to int 32. Let's instantiate our ATM app class inside our entry class. ATM app equal to new ATM app. To create an object of the ATM app class. So now we're going to call the check user card number password. We're going to call the method, and also before we run, okay, let's run a test. Enter your card number 12345538. Invalid input. Try again. You see, it's working. Now enter your card PIN. Let's try to enter a PIN. Oh, there's an error somewhere. Something is not right. Something is not right. Let's try and troubleshoot and debug what's wrong. I think we should consider the prompt. This prompt. Yes, it's true here. Okay, we are going to change the status of this prompt here to false, because we don't want to keep asking for users. Once we ask for user input, we change the value of its prompt to false. Let's test our program again and see what we have. Let's enter some random number. Enter your card PIN. You see, it's working now. As you type, we're seeing asterisks. Please enter 6 digits. So, enter your card PIN. And let's enter to continue. Let's try this app again. Enter your card number. Enter your card PIN. We entered more than 6 digits. Press enter to continue. Okay. You see that asterisk there's something is wrong somewhere. We need to correct. We need to correct this anomaly. We need to correct something is wrong somewhere. Something is not working very well somewhere, so we need to correct that. Let's find where the issue is. Alright, so once we have an error, we should be able to continue running the code, and just like break, continue will help you to jump that particular iteration and jump to the next iteration. So let's run our app and test it again. Press enter to continue. Enter your card number, enter some card number, enter some random. Okay, you see? Enter your card PIN. And there you have it. Thing is working very well now. It's working very well now. Let's enter 6. Okay, press enter to continue. That's great. It's working perfectly. Next, we are going to create a log in progress. That includes printing a progress message to the console, printing a dot animation, and then clearing the screen. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Console dot right line. Our progress message will be checking card number and PIN. Dot dot dot. Let's create a dot animation. The timer will be 10. This is going to check how many dots. So for int I is equal to 0. Now I is less than timer, semicolon, I plus plus. We are going to print dot animation. Console the right line. Dot. Now we're going to write thread of sleep to delay there. Delay the thread for 200 milliseconds. Let's import the thread. Namespace. Done. Let's clear the screen. All right. Let's run the app to test it. Enter a 6-digit PIN, checking card number and PIN. Press enter to continue. Wow, this is good. This is beautiful. Clears the screen. See, our dot animation is working very well. Let's add some line breaks before this. All right, so looking at this, you will notice that this method has become overloaded with too many tasks. As always, we will clean it up by refactoring the code so we can extract these tasks into separate and specific methods. All right, so guys, we are going to begin with our temporary user account. We're going to create a new method. Let's highlight everything with this code and right click to extract new method. Now we are going to rename this method to user login form. Let's copy this method over to the app screen class. Let's change the access modifier to internal. Let's change the return type to user account. And let us import our user account. Type namespace. Get that done. Now let's go back to let's return the temporary user account. Now let's call this in our ATM app class. And store it in a variable called input account. And that's it. We've been able to extract this into a new method and replace it with a line of code. We're going to do the same for our login progress. We'll go ahead and create a new method called login progress in our ATM app class. in our app screen class rather, internal static void login progress. Good. Let's bring in our thread. We're going to move the dot animation into one new. We're going to move it into one new method, to create single task that are independent of each other. Now let's create a new method in the utility class and call this method public static void print dot animation. Give it a parameter timer. I give it a value of 10. Paste our code and import our thread namespace. Let's call our print dot animation inside our login progress method. Utility dot print dot animation, and that's it. We are good. This is great. Refactor. So now let's call our login progress. I have screen dot login progress. Let's run the app to test. Good. It's still working and it's working very well. Now we're going to use a for each loop to loop through the user account list to check the correct login details. While it's correct login, let's go to force. Let's wrap this inside the while loop. So we instantiate
input account and get the information. And now we're going to use a for each to iterate through the user account list. And we're going to assign the selected account to the account. Now we're going to check if the input account dot card number equals selected account dot card number. If they are equal, then we're going to increase the selected account dot login attempts. Total login, we're going to increment that. Now, if input account dot card pin equals selected accounts dot card pin. So we have ourselves a correct login. We're going to set the selected account to the account. Now, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run a check to see if selected account is locked or if selected account
The total login is greater than 3. If true, then we are going to print that the user has been locked out on the screen. So let's leave a comment there. Print a lock message. So let's go ahead and implement a method. Let's create a method that will handle this lock screen message printing on the screen. Let's go to app screen and create a method. Internal static void print locked screen. Console.clear. Let's first of all clear the screen. and then let is print message utility that print message to print this message on the screen. We're going to write your account is locked. Please go to the nearest branch to unlock your account. Thank you. True. Now we're going to exit the application. Before then, we're going to press enter to continue to keep the screen on. Then we're going to exit from the environment. We say environment.exit with the exit code 1. The environment.exit function terminates an entire application and returns the exit code to the current operating system. We use the exit code 0 to indicate that process completed successfully and a non-zero number to indicate an error. So let's call this function appScreen.print lock screen. Else selected accounts, we're going to selected account the total login to be equal to 0. We're going to reset it because we've logged in, and we're going to change the is correct user login status to true. Then we'll break. We're going to break out of this. And nested group of if statements, and as well break out of the whole loop. So now outside the for each, we're going to check if its correct login was false. Then if so, then we're going to print error message utility.print message, and the error message is going to be invalid card number or PIN. Of course, it's an error message, so it's gonna have a false there as a second parameter. Then if user failed to log in more than 3 times, we have to log the account again. So let's check if user have failed to log in more than 3 times. Selected account that is locked is equal to selected account dot total login is equivalent to 3 is equal to 3. Then we're going to say if selected account that is locked, which means if it's true, then app screen dot print lock account. Now after the if blocks, let's clear the screen. We are done implementing our check card number and PIN method. So now we're going to create a new method that will work on the logged in user. So we would say, welcome. Just write a console dot right line. Now let's welcome the user. Welcome back. Let's enter the user full name. So go with selected account dot full name, and there's it. Good to go. Let's pick a user from here and test our application to check if we can log in successfully. We're gonna go with organizer. Let's first of all enter initialize our data. Okay, we've done that. Let's now choose our user. We're gonna choose organizer. This is the card number and this is the PIN. Card number is 321321. PIN is 123123. Okay. Now let's go ahead and run the app and test it out. Press enter to continue. Enter your card number. We're going to use Obina's card number, which is 321321. Enter your card PIN 123123. Checking card number and PIN. Press enter to continue. You're able to log in, but seems like we've not it seems like um, we've not called our method or welcome method. Let's try and call our welcome method. Let's call our welcome method ATM app dot welcome. So we'll be able to confirm our user has been logged in. Let's try it again. Enter your card number. Say 321321. Enter your code pin 123123. Checking card number and pin. Welcome back, will be nice. Press enter to continue. Perfect. Our code runs very smoothly and it's working. Now let's try out some other things. Let's try to log in with the second user's card account details. Let's mark a hope. Let's try it again. Enter your card number 654. Enter your card pin 456456. Checking card number and pin. Welcome back, I'm like I hope. Press enter to continue. Now for the last user, which is Famous Sunday, if you remember, we had the is locked to be equal to true. So we're going to try and see if we can log in even with the correct user card number and pin. Enter your card number. Card number is 98797. The pin is 789789. Your account is locked. Please go to the nearest branch to unlock your account. Thank you. So you see, our code is really working effortlessly. It's working very well. Our code is working very well. Now the last thing we're going to try is we're going to try to log in with the wrong details more than 3 times and see what we're going to get and see if we'll be able to log the account. This is a wrong card number, a wrong pin. Enter your card number. We're supposed to get an error message telling us that we entered an invalid detail. Okay, this is working. The card pin validation is working. No, we're entering wrong details. We expected to get an error message here. Let's try again and see. No. Now let's try to let's debug that. What is the issue? Okay, we placed this code in the wrong nest. Is this one thing with nested code? You can easily make mistakes. Let's check it again. Where you're supposed to place outside the if block. We're supposed to place it outside the if block. So you see, So it's going to be outside the if block. Let's paste the code there. Let's run the app again, test it. Press enter to continue. Enter your code number. 321321. Enter your code pin. Let's enter a wrong code pin. Invalid code number or pin. You see? And press enter to continue. We're going to try this more than 3 times so that we can see if we will be able to lock the user accounts. By the way, we're trying this with the first user's card number. So we'll enter the correct card number and then enter the wrong password or the pin. This is the third time we're doing this, and now you see your account is locked. Please go to the nearest branch to unlock your account. Thank you. Wonderful. You see our code is working perfectly and everything is working as it should. Okay guys, congratulations for making it to the end of the part 1 of this 2-part tutorial series. Big ups to you. In this part, we previewed the ATM app we're going to build, created the ATM app project, welcomed the user, requested ATM card number and PIN, validated the user, and then logged in the user. I believe you got something out of this, so if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you can get notified next time I post a new video or when next I post the second part of this video. If you have any question or if you're curious about anything, if there's a part you don't understand or you want to share some ideas, then feel free to comment down below and I'll do my best to explain what is going on in the code. That being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new. I'll see you in the part 2 of the series. Thank you.